This is the captain. Brace for impact.
Hello. Davey Portman here from Up Next. We're just waiting on Andrew before we start this, but I figured instead of having you guys all wait in the room, we might as well get some business out of the way first. So how are we doing Twitch room to start with? How's everything looking? How's everything sounding? Kyrie's not with me today because she's with Braden right now. So, yeah. Busy day, a lot of news coming out of that Impact, actually. So I figured we'd actually start with getting some feedback out of the way. So I just want a thumbs up. Who's in the Twitch room right now? We've got Jordan, we have Bryn, we've got Chris Leone, we've got Rishi's in the room. How's everything sounding? Can you hear me, guys? Looks and sounds good. That's what I like to hear. Thank you, Chris. Right, yeah. So I'm just going to record some feedback and then hopefully Andrew will call me in just a second and we'll probably just do our test live. So you'll be able to hear all that. Well, that's what we thought. Let's now go to some feedback. We always post feedback up on forum.postwrestling.com for Impact, for NXT as well on Wednesdays, soon to be Tuesdays, I think. But let's see what you guys thought. We'll start with Bryn, who said, I thought this week's Impact was a bit of a drag to sit through. I found myself losing interest until the Ace Austin versus Chris Bay match. That was one of the best matches I've seen on a weekly wrestling TV show so far this year. Great action, great near falls, really got me interested in those two. Thought the end was a bit crazy and took away just a smidge from an otherwise great match. Sacrifice looks like an interesting show this Saturday. Kinda tempted to get Impact Plus, especially now with the stipulation that Swan versus Moose is a unification match, and then the winner gets Omega at Rebellion. I think I'm more interested in Impact now than I have been in several years. A lot coming out of this show. I think it's kind of what we've been theorizing over the weeks, but it's nice to kind of get it official now. And yeah, definitely raises the interest in this Saturday's pay-per-view. We also go to Andrew from Cape Breton, who says, so I've been missing Impact recently due to work, but I might be able to watch Sacrifice this weekend. So I wanted to dedicate some feedback to one of my favourite wrestlers. Someone that Davey seems to not be the biggest fan of, being a newer Impact fan, and that's ODB. I first saw her when I would download BitTorrents of OVW shows. She had been working unsigned, attempting to get WWE to look at her, despite WWE completely changing their women's division in recent years. Triple H and Shawn Michaels came down in 2007 to look over the school and told ODB that there likely wouldn't be a spot for her in WWE based on her style and look. Soon after that, she ended up in TNA's newly expanded Knockouts division. Women's wrestling at the time was very formulaic. The only gimmicks women had were happy-go-lucky, nice girl and mean, catty bitch heel. That's all WWE had. So when TNA brought in this drunk redneck who kept grabbing her tits, it was something different for national television. One negative now is ODB's gimmick only works in front of the crowd, so she falls flat for an empty arena shows. She would probably be a lot better received in AEW. She's not the best wrestler, but she always was a crowd favourite, and even got the only reaction during the Women's Casino Battle Royal. That was mostly due to the terrible format of the match, but the fact she came out with 4 other people and got one of the loudest reactions showed me that she was a memorable and beloved part of TNA. I feel I'm going long, but ODB is definitely an important part of Impact history and reminds me a lot of Jazz in that after WWE completely changed their tune on women's wrestling with the Diva Search, people like ODB, Jazz, and until recently Mercedes Martinez were left out in the cold. So shout out to pro wrestling's one dirty bitch. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, ODB obviously going for the title this Saturday. I can appreciate how big a character she is, and I've seen her at events before. Yeah, she's definitely someone who gets the crowd behind her. I just don't know, when you look at the women's roster in Impact, I don't know if I'd be going with ODB for a kind of women's main event. That's all I'm going to say. I think there's a lot better people who haven't really had the chance yet against Deonna, who'd be better suited. Right, just still no sign of Andrew here. I think I'm going to give it one more minute and then probably just do the show solo because I don't know if you can hear from my voice, but I'm not well. I'm feeling pretty sicky. So, yeah. Let's go to the chat room, what we've got going on. Bryn says, I'm coming in loud and clear from my underground bunker. Jordan wants another episode of Behind the BDE. Is that what you're saying? And is offering his free fight account. I think that's to Bryn. Tenille versus Deonna. Yeah, that's a match I want to see. But Tenille seems so far down the pecking order at Impact right now that I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. What else is going on here? Right, I think I'm going to have to start because I've waited long enough. Let me just give Andrew a message. You're watching Behind the BD right now. Yeah, I'm sweating right now, actually. Okay, I'm just going to message Andrew here. Let's see. You're watching Behind the BDE right now. Kenny did it. Yeah, Sino's in the room. Sorry you're feeling unwell. If you give me a couple of hours, I can watch Impact and then message you my thoughts on Facebook. Hey, you might have time while we're waiting here. Remember back when Kenny first started in the TNA tapings and there was all the talk about how good and deep the TNA women's division is? That seems like a long lost memory at this time. Yeah. Oh, the report's up now. So hopefully we'll have a Andrew Thompson very soon. Yeah, I mean, I still think their women's roster is quite deep. I just hate the way they're booked. Like, I think Rosemary's good. I think Tenille's good. I think Kira and Tasha are good. But they're all kind of just stuck in these, like, gimmicks. These silly gimmicks that we're not... that's not allowing them to flourish, I don't think. I never think the women's division looks as strong as it really, really should in Impact. But yeah, I think everyone kind of says they were the front runners in the US for women's wrestling, definitely way ahead of WWE at the time. I'm still surprised we've not had any sort of women's crossover with AEW yet. What do we think, chat room? Do you think this is something that still could happen? A bit of a crossover with the women. Obviously we're getting the men. We were meant to get Sammy Guevara in this whole story, but that's changed. What are our thoughts? And are we getting a new Undisputed Era? Yeah, that's something I'd quite like to talk about soon. Jordan's saying no, we're not getting a new Undisputed Era. Yeah, I think... I mean, you've still got Bobby. Is Bobby going to come back soon? I think adding the tag belts killed it. Now both parts single and tag are now shallow. I kind of agree with you, yeah? Oh, just got a message. Perfect. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm just setting up, guys. If there is a new UE, who gets added if it's still a 4-man group? I'd like to keep it kind of in the same vein as before, as in like these 4 top indie guys as UE. I can't see them being new members. I don't know. I feel like it's just a tease and kind of Cole's way of blaming Fish and O'Reilly. Sorry, not Fish. O'Reilly and Cole for the breakup. Find a new picture of Andrew as a rib. Okay. All right, we've got Andrew. Let's see. Thank you for bearing with us today, guys. Hello. Can you hear me? We are live, Andrew. Just to let you know, so you don't say anything that might get you cancelled. We are live right now on Twitch. How are you doing?
I was about to let out some profanity.
I thought you were. Right? I could hear it in your hello. That you were just were eager to get cancelled. You were gonna go all Piers Morgan and slag off Meghan Markle, weren't you? I could hear it in your voice.
No, I was just gonna let off a loud shit. That's all I was gonna say.
How are you, Andrew?
My fingers hurt.
Fingers hurt from all that typing, speed typing.
Like, no, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So a lot of newsworthy stuff that just happened, man. So,
yeah.
Very strategic on Impact's part. I think it was very smart to format it that way. So
Absolutely.
it's always good to have a lot of hype coming out of your show. Very smart. Kudos, Impact.
Kudos to Impact. Who'd have thunk it, eh? Right, well, I'm going to press record. I'm going to go to the Twitch room. Andrew, if you could just do a little test for me, and I'm going to let the Twitchers, I think that's what we call them, see that you all sound good.
Title unification match set for Impact Sacrifice. 3 matches added to Impact Sacrifice. Davey Portman, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Fuck yeah. How's it sounding? Andrew's volume seems kind of low, FYI. Okay, I can boost you up a little bit. Talk a bit more.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. All right, I think we're good. Gonna just once again forewarn the Twitch room and you, Andrew, that I'm not feeling too well. I'm gonna try and mute my mic whenever I need to cough or splutter or whatever, but we're gonna get through this.
Okay, I hope you feel better, my brother.
I believe in us. Thank you. All right. We are recording. Hello. Davey Portman here from Up Next, postwrestling.com, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever you listen to us. And it is Tuesday, which means it's another episode of Deep Impact. And coming into the Up Next zone is Andrew Thompson.
I am indeed here, sir. It's a busy news night, but I'm glad to be a part of it all, man. This is good stuff right here.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of news coming out of tonight's Impact. Andrew, for those of you that don't know, and I don't know why you don't know, but if you don't, he writes the reports for postwrestling.com. And yeah, you said just off air that your fingers hurt because you've been typing away furiously for the last however long it is. Yeah, a lot of news coming out of tonight's Impact.
Definitely. So for those of you who did not get, I'm pretty sure everybody who's listening live or watching live already knows, but there's going to be Rich Swan versus Moose at the Sacrifice event on Saturday. It was already announced that it was going to be an Impact World Title match, but now it's going to be a TNA World Heavyweight Title match, unification match. The winner will move on to Rebellion in April to face Kenny Omega in a double title match. Davey, I feel like we've been speaking this into existence for the longest, and now it is finally coming true.
Yeah, that they definitely planted the seeds a long time ago, and it's always nice when finally the confirmation comes out there. Like wrestling's wrestling, you'll believe it when you see it, right? So even when this whole Kenny Omega Impact AEW crossover thing started, you know that things sometimes fall apart, as we saw with that exploding barbed wire death match on Sunday. So even as recently as the last set of tapings with Sammy Guevara, there were the plans to have him in Impact, and that fell apart. So I think as wrestling fans, you try not to get your hopes up on certain things, but they've announced it now. We're getting Kenny Omega, I think they said it's title for title, right? So it is both titles on the line at Rebellion in just a couple of months. Big news. So that's exciting. We've been talking about that a lot recently, as you said. But before we get into Impact, I know we're going to talk about that a lot more. I was wondering if you saw the post Ryan Satin put out earlier about the interview he had with Adam Cole.
I did. I think I saw I think I know the tweet you're talking about with Adam Cole. He said something along the lines of Undisputed Era wouldn't be as successful as they were if it wasn't for him, right? That's what that was.
Yeah, and he said that he took it upon himself. Let me just find the actual tweet. He took it upon himself to remove O'Reilly and Roddy from Undisputed Era, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Undisputed Era is no more. So like a kind of little hint there. Here we go. I've got the tweet from Ryan Satin. Here's one Adam Cole Pro quote from tomorrow's interview as a tease. The Undisputed Era would have never been what it became without me in charge. So in many ways, in my opinion, I kicked out Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of Undisputed Era. Now, obviously, we've not heard from Bobby Fish in a while. This could be a little tease for maybe a Bobby Fish return tomorrow night. Obviously, we've got the big title match, Finn Balor versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. So it could be that Bobby's just aligning with Cole in this. Or is he bringing in new members, replacements for Cole and Kyle? What are your thoughts here?
So just something that immediately comes to mind, I can maybe see them doing just... Like I mean, well, like I guess you could have said like maybe a couple weeks ago, like before the like before the second attack he did on O'Reilly, you could have did something along the lines of it's just a brothers just fight type of thing, and they just needed to get out their system and take it to that next level and then move past it. But I think we kind of past that point now, and I can't really see anybody else fit in the Undisputed Era just because of the group has been so intact for so long. But I mean, I guess you can go anywhere now. Maybe they could just do Adam Cole and get Adam Cole trying to convince Bobby Fish that they are solely the Undisputed Era and the other two are outsiders, or it could be a combination of either one, honestly.
Yeah, that's the way I see them going. I see it going to be Bobby Fish aligning with Cole. Possibly, I think we're getting a title change tomorrow. So I can see Bobby Fish maybe screwing over Finn to get Cole the title. John Cena is in the Twitch room right now. He's suggesting Anthony Henry to join to try and keep that sort of independent vibe that Undisputed Era had when they first started. I don't think he's a big enough name, and I don't like when you do like DX Light, NWO Light, Undisputed Era Light, that kind of thing. I like Anthony Henry a lot, and actually matches between him and Kyle O'Reilly sound very, very intriguing to me because their styles are quite similar in a way. But yeah, I'm going to go with Bobby Fish.
Yeah, the only people I can see actually joining Undisputed Era is people that have been kind of like within the fabric of their group to a certain extent, or has been intertwined with them, like on in some way. Like I feel like the only person that could like actually make sense is like a Kevin Owens. Like I feel like that's legit the only person who I could see like being fitting in this, and like it being like making sense in some sort of way, I guess, that you could like weave it in.
Hey, never forget that Tainara Conti was in Undisputed Era for like a week either.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Shit, I might join Undisputed Era.
Yeah, let's all join Undisputed Era. What are your thoughts about tomorrow? Obviously, it's quite a big episode of NXT. We've got 2 title matches, Io Shirai versus Toni Storm and Adam Cole versus Finn Balor. Do we see any title changes tomorrow?
Yeah, man. So it's a stacked episode of NXT. Like I usually just decide on the day of like which show I'm gonna watch live, because I cover both on the site, but I just decide which one I'm gonna watch live. And I don't think I could miss NXT live tomorrow. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of big things jumping off, a lot of storyline stuff gonna happen. But I can't see them taking the title off Io. I feel bad for Toni Storm that she's being used. I mean, well, not being used badly, but just just to progress Io's title reign. But I could I don't know why I could definitely see Adam Cole taking the title off Finn Balor. I feel like Finn has had a great run, but I feel like the story needs, like, the Undisputed Era. They kind of, what is left of the Undisputed Era kind of needs the NXT Championship to keep it moving.
I agree. This feels very like Gargano Ciampa for me,
Yeah.
when Aleister Black was the champion, and you go, the hotter story is Gargano Ciampa, or in this case, Kyle and Cole. So we should kind of maybe switch the titles. I definitely see a title change there. Io versus Toni, I'm interested in. I definitely see Io retaining. But for me, what I want from this match is Toni Storm to step up. Because for me, she's been undelivering since coming into NXT recently. And I think if you're going to have a great match, Io Shirai is the one to have it against. So I don't necessarily see a title change, but I just hope they pull off a good match. They had a great match, the Evolution match, the finals of the Mae Young Classic. Were a bit short on time on that pay-per-view, but they did have a good match, and I think they could really pull it out tomorrow night. And then after that, Io Shirai can kind of say she has beaten everyone. Toni Storm's the only one with that kind of blemish to her name. And if she can beat Toni, she can move on. And I see it being Raquel is the big project for the big match against Io. Unless you do someone from the main roster like you had last year with Charlotte challenging Rhea.
Let's say, what do you think the 2 big announcements are going to be? The game-changing announcements.
I mean, there's been a few things sort of unofficially announced. The move to Tuesday seems to be pretty much confirmed, although we've not heard it officially from WWE yet. You've got the takeover being on the Wednesday on TV, and then the Thursday. I could see that probably, because it's coming up pretty soon. I can see them announcing that. And the thought of women's tag titles as well. Obviously, we had the screwy finish last week. We got a lot of talented women in NXT. Do we see the tag titles? So I'm going to go with women's tag and the 2-night takeover. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same mindset. Like in NXT, they have one of the largest performance in the classes for like as far as women go. Like the female talents that they have one of the largest performance in the classes. So I can definitely see NXT women's tag team titles kind of fit. Like at first I really wasn't too keen on it, but then I thought about it for a minute. I was like, they have a lot of talented people in the division, a lot of talented people who they haven't even introduced yet. So introduced on TV yet. So I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't do it.
Do you see them perhaps making one of those takeovers takeover Evolution and have an all women's takeover?
I think a lot of people kind of were pointing at that when William Regal made the initial announcement about the game changing announcement that he was going to make the first time before they added an additional one when he was being interviewed by Mackenzie Mitchell. The poster behind him was the Evolution pay-per-view.
That's right.
Like I think we all know that in professional wrestling sometimes stuff is put there for a specific reason, and things are shot some places a specific reason. It's like I only think we looking into it too deeply. I think that was like kind of a strategic thing, maybe just to even get people talking. It may not be official, but it does get people talking.
And if that is the case, which one do you put on TV? Which goes on USA and which goes on the network? Or Peacock, should I say?
Peacock.
For you Americans. Unfortunately, I've still got the network with, all the pay-per-views ever and a good search function. But
I'm jealous, bro. I'm jealous.
I say good search function. The interface is still pretty shitty on the network, if I'm being honest. But at least everything's there, which is very useful for podcasters like us.
So for the you just call it the original format takeover show. Man, like that's kind of a difficult one because like I think the all women show is like extremely important, and you don't want to short side that by putting it on TV. But would you really be short siding it by putting it on TV? I can't really call it. I'm gonna just say off the top of my head, I say you go put the all women show on the Peacock network, and then you do the original format takeover show live on USA. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if you could get in, if you were to do it on TV, perhaps, whether you could get someone like a Ronda or like a big female star to be on TV to kind of present the tag titles. Not necessarily set up an angle, but have this big women's wrestling event on TV, and you have a bit of a name to maybe draw few more eyes to the product, perhaps.
Now, see, I'm gonna say this now. I feel like they should do it. Now that you bring that up, I think they should do it just based off what will have the biggest impact or the biggest newsworthy stuff coming out of it. I think that's the best way to go about it. Like if you are going to get just for speculation's sake, if you are going to get a big name, as you mentioned, to come in and present the women's tag titles officially and stuff like that, then I think that'll be something that people would sign up for Peacock or sign up sign up for Peacock to tune into. But if not, then you can reverse it and just do the original format takeover on the streaming service, and then put the all women showcase on the USA network. But I think it just depends on whichever one is going to be the most newsworthy, honestly.
Yeah, makes most sense. This podcast's going to age very quickly because in less than 24 hours we'll know exactly what it is.
There you go.
And it's probably none of this. It's probably Bad Bunnies coming to NXT with the 24/7 title or something like that. Any other bits of news you have before we go into Impact?
No, man, we can get straight into it.
Well, let's get right to it. I keep stealing Sino's phrase by accident there. Sorry, Sino. Gimmick infringement there. Impact, March 9th, 2021. We start off with one half of the the Knockout Tag Team Champions. Tasha Steelz is taking on Jazz, one of her opponents, coming this Saturday at Sacrifice. The match starts and Jazz muscles Tasha down early. So Tasha bails to the outside to catch her breath. Tasha hits this really nice looking jumping neck breaker for a 2 count. There's a Falcon Arrow followed by the Rings of Saturn, which look pretty good. Jazz sidesteps a pump kick to get back into the match and hits a sit-out power slam, followed by the STF to Tasha, and Jazz pins the tag champion in 5 minutes, 59 seconds.
Yeah, man. The Knockouts tag title match this week. We're going to see Jordan Grace and Jazz versus Fire and Flavor. Impact Wrestling, y'all need to let me interview Kiera and Tasha. Stop blocking me. I'm calling it out, David. They trying to block me out. They don't want to let me interview them good sisters. But yeah, man. I think this was a solid, decent little match to open the show to promote the tag title matches happening this week. It was kind of cool because I know Tasha has said in previous interviews that Jazz is kind of like a role model of hers. So it was cool that that she got to finally have this singles match. And yeah, man, Jazz still got it, man. I'm glad she didn't retire. I'm glad she's still around.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Thinking about stepping away. Yeah.
There's definitely value to Jazz, especially working with all this younger talent, but she can still go in the ring. I I quite enjoy this match. I'm never a fan of beating the champions going into a pay-per-view. I personally prefer the challengers just going on a run and beating all the other teams in the division rather than just constantly beating the champions. It doesn't make the match particularly exciting for me. But other than that, I thought they had a good match to open things up. Mm-hmm. We go backstage to ODB, who is being interviewed by Gia Miller. ODB says the meet and greet is open all night. She calls herself the 4-time knocked up champion, and she's going to be 5-time knocked up champion. This is when Susan comes in and says she wants a one-on-one match with ODB for what she did to her arm last week. And Susan says she can do it on her own and doesn't need Deonna and Kimber by her side. So that sets up our match for later this evening.
Yeah, about to say ODB ain't lying, man. She really is bringing the meet and greet to the shows. I know she brings her food truck. To the things, yeah, get her own double pay, man.
I think Braden was telling me about the food truck just earlier. Yeah. I think that's such a good idea. Just drive around to wrestling events and sell your food, and people are gonna want to go to your truck because you're ODB. You know, I think it's
very smart,
good plan.
Very smart.
We see Trey Miguel, who sees Sam, his trainee, who just last week, Sami Callihan went to Trey Miguel's wrestling school and seemed to take this young trainee under his wing. Trey asks how he is, and Sam, the trainee, says that Sami is a tough guy, but he isn't as bad as people say he is. Trey warns Sam that everything Callihan says is a lie. Sam says that Sami said he'd say that and said he'd be too much of a coward, that Trey would be too much of a coward to face him. So he goes, Sami was right all along. You don't have the passion. So obviously Sami Callihan has kind of like poisoned this young trainee Sam against his trainer and is using that same line about the lack of passion.
I told you this like for the past 4 or 5 weeks, Davey. This is like one of my favorite like mid-card things that Impact got going on.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think Sami Callihan is known for all his mind games and stuff, so kind of infiltrating his school I think is a nice little touch. Wasn't overly impressed with Sam on the mic here. I guess this is kind of his first time, but I thought he seemed quite wooden and a bit uncomfortable. It seemed very much like, these are the lines I've learned and I've got to remember to say them. But everyone's got to have a go the first time, right? And I'm sure that will come on. But yeah, I'm enjoying this story. We then get a hype video for the main event of Sacrifice Moose versus Rich Swan. And that takes us to our next match. Rohit, Raju and Shira taking on James Storm and Chris Sabin.
David, let me just say this. Rohit Raju is very good at professional wrestling. That's all I had to say.
Okay. I missed something?
What? No, I was just saying he's very good at professional wrestling. That's all I just had to say. He's very good. That's all I had to say.
Okay. I feel like there's something between the lines there. I don't know.
No. I'm just being serious. Like I saw like a couple of transitions he was doing like early in the match, like how swiftly he was moving around the ring. I was like Rohit is like really good. I
thought you were going to say he's very good at professional wrestling, but a garbage human being. And I was no, we're not cancelling someone else, are we? Come on. But no, I agree. He's a great professional wrestler. It starts with, before the match starts, Storm and Shira, the two big men of the match, just shoving each other. This has all come from Swingers Palace last week, where Sabin and Storm kind of got into a bit of a spat with Raju and Shira at Swingers Palace, the blackjack room, gambling room, casino, that's the word. Raju and Sabin start off, and yeah, you're right. Raju looked great here. These two worked together so well. Really quick. There was this awesome looking leg sweep from Rohit. Then Storm and Sabin start to double team on Rohit for a bit. Then Storm and Shira go at it, and it's quite cool seeing the two big guys going at it. There's a big boot from Shira knocking down Storm. Raju and Shira then beat down on Sabin for a bit, but he makes the hot tag to Storm, who hits an atomic drop and a spine buster to Rohit. Sabin hits his kick-up DDT for a 2, and I don't know if you caught this, but Storm kind of just shoves, I think it was Rohit, down by the face, and I think it was D'Lo said, "Oh, version of the sling blade there." It's the weirdest looking sling blade I've ever seen, but sure, we'll give it to him. Storm and Shira go at it for a bit more. I actually found it quite entertaining watching the big guys go. Shira goes to finish off Storm, but then Rohit stops him, and they start to argue for a bit. It seems like Rohit maybe wants to win the match himself. Sabin missile dropkicks Rohit from behind, knocking him into Shira, allowing Storm to hit the backstabber, and we get the cradle shock from Sabin to Rohit for the win in 10 minutes 15 seconds.
If I say my expert analysis right here, the Motor City Machine Guns have a great theme song. That's like the most, it's like that's like the takeaway for me from this match. But no, it was a really great match. Oh, not great, but really good match. I think all of these four work really well together. And like I said, Rohit is like very, very good at professional wrestling. Like the dude, like I think he had like a couple of like shining moments in this match where he stood out. And I did like the interaction between him and Shira. I feel like there's a lot of ways they can go with that, and I kind of like that they didn't like make sure out to be like how it normally is. The big guy's always the one who gets pushed around, and he's the one that always bows down to the smaller guy. And Shira wasn't going for that, and I really like that dynamic.
Yeah, maybe let's skip ahead to while we're talking about this. Thoughts on the match. I agree. I think Rohit was great. I really liked him and Sabin going at it. Shira, I haven't seen much of at all, but I did enjoy him and Storm going at it. A bit of big lads wrestling. Later in the night, you see Rohit, who's kind of shouting at Shira for kind of ruining the match. I didn't quite get the confusion in the match. I don't know if I missed something kind of when I looked down typing, but I didn't notice what Shira did wrong. I just got the impression that Rohit wanted to get the pin himself. Was that it? Right.
No, like it was just Rohit being Rohit.
Yeah. So Rohit is kind of shouting at Shira later in the night, and then Shira picks Rohit up by the head, looked awesome, pinning him against the wall, and just yells at him saying that I don't owe you anything. Do you understand? Because Rohit's going, I plucked you from India, I brought you back here. And Shira says, I don't owe you anything. Reminds me of, have you seen The Dark Knight Rises?
I have not.
Okay, there's a moment in The Dark Knight Rises where there's this like mob boss who's paid Bane, Tom Hardy, to do all his bidding. And Bane is just like, no, and starts antagonizing this boss. And he goes like, well, what? I paid you all this money. And Bane just goes, and you think that gives you power over me? And that's kind of what I got from Shira here. It's like, I don't owe you anything. Sure, you might have brought me into Impact, but I'm still bigger than you, and you are not bullying me. You are not telling me what to do.
That is like actually like a very cool way for Shira to like grow. Like I don't want to say like grow some like maybe just establish himself more. Like I think that's a good way for him. Like I was kind of like fantasy booking this whole idea. I was like maybe Rohit could bring in Karam and into Impact to kind of like you use him to replace Shira. Karam is the guy that Rohit teams with on the independent scene. It's like it's like literally the same thing that he does with Shira, but just on the independent scene. Like he's worked with him in like AAW and stuff like that. And Karam's a big dude, like real stocky dude, and he like it's literally like the same stature with Rohit and Shira. It's like the same thing. And I was thinking like maybe he could bring Karam into Impact, and then like kind of just like, hey, I could show you could be replaced, and stuff. I just thought that would be like a real cool thing to kind of like give Rohit something a little extra to do while he's kind of in this little waiting period. It seems like.
Yeah, my only criticism about this story is I didn't ever get them as like friends first.
Right.
Shira was brought in, and then he's been ringside maybe twice, and on the second appearance, that's when they started to fight, and then I think this is their first tag match together and they're already fighting. It does feel they're rushing this story a bit, but as long as it gives Rohit something to do, I'm not too worried, because I do think he is one of the most entertaining people on the roster. We're backstage and we see Reno Scum and Triple XL arguing with each other. Obviously, they teamed up last week, taking on the Good Brothers and Finn Juice, and lost. So they're all blaming each other. And that's when Decay, made up of Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus, come in and mock them all for not getting the job done. And they mock Triple XL for not getting the job done against Decay at No Surrender. AC and Larry D seem mad and they storm off. And Rosemary says that they are looking for a sacrifice this Saturday as they stare at Reno Scum and call them a couple of freaks. And they all laugh maniacally. So I assume we're getting Decay versus Reno Scum added to Sacrifice.
Yeah, it's official.
It's official.
It's official. Yeah.
All right. Violence by Design. This is Eric Young, Dina, and Joe Doering. Eric Young is talking to Dina following his few losses recently. He says violence is the only thing the disease understands. Still talking about this disease and this sickness that Dina needs to get out of his system. And that's when Chris Sabin and James Storm come in. Eric Young says this is a family business and does not concern you. Storm says, I know what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. And this, what you're doing here to Dina, is wrong.
They torturing them?
Yes.
And it was over there making them watching the Impact Switch commercials on loop. Probably seen the Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards one a million times, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite one, Davey? Your favorite Impact Switch commercial?
I do like Steiner Maths. I've seen it so many times, and it's played about 3 times a week. What Andrew's talking about is if you don't watch Impact on Access but watch it on Twitch, instead of commercials, you get all of these like TNA flashbacks, and it's usually the same ones every week, except this week we got a lot of highlights of kind of New Japan in TNA, which I thoroughly enjoyed these commercial breaks tonight.
So Tanahashi, we saw a young Naito, man.
Yeah, we saw Tana versus AJ. We saw Angle versus Yuji Nagata. We saw a young Naito. I love that commercial break this week. So
they stepped it up, man.
Absolutely. So Dina then just punches them in the face, and Violent by Design beat down on James Storm and Chris Sabin and say, stay out of our business. We go to Scott D'Amore's office. Now, we've learnt that Scott D'Amore is going to have a big announcement to close the show tonight. And he's just in his office preparing everything, doing all his legal filings. And that's when Brian Myers storms in and says that we need to make all of this go away. He's mad with Eddie Edwards, who injured his eye. He's still wearing the eye patch. And he says, you need to terminate Edwards' contract and erase him from Impact history. And if we do that, I'm not going to be a problem. I'm going to be happy and just move on. Scott D'Amore says, let me tell you something I learned in court. The more you have to argue, the less strong your case is. As Myers has brought in just pages and pages and pages for his case against Eddie Edwards. And Scott, in a little aside, just says, yes, we've been to court a lot. Obviously, if you follow wrestling news, you know all about the multiple lawsuits TNA/Impact have had over the years. Scott suggests a hold harmless match. Myers thinks he's talking about like a submission match, classical technical submission match. And Myers, being the most professional wrestler, thinks this is a great idea. And D'Amore goes, are you really sure you want this? A hold harmless match? Myers says yes. D'Amore says, well, maybe you should talk to your lawyer about it, because hold harmless doesn't mean submissions. It actually means no DQ. So Myers has talked himself into a no DQ match against Eddie Edwards at Sacrifice. He storms off, And Scott D'Amore, to close the segment, says, "I can't stand a cluttered desk," and shoves all of Maya's sheets on the floor.
I'm actually just a quite bit interested in Eddie Edwards Brian Myers no DQ match. Like just like I don't know why. I just feel like it might be like kind of good. Like I feel like their styles are kind of similar but different in a way. And with the note like with them being able to bring other elements in and not solely focusing on the in-ring stuff, I feel like it could be like a decent watch.
There's something about no DQ matches in Impact that have just not clicked with me, and I think it is the lack of fans.
Yeah.
And especially just Eddie Edwards matches in general. It's bail to the outside, throw each other against the guardrail for a long time, a slam on the stage or the ramp, and then pull out a chair or a table or something. I can't say I'm particularly looking forward to this. If you told me we've already seen a no DQ match between these two, I'd believe you. It just feels I think it's nothing against Eddie Edwards, and I think so much it is this empty setting, but just him doing these brawling matches over and over don't really do it a great deal for me. But
good theme song though.
Good theme song, yeah. His theme song gets me going. We didn't hear it tonight. It was a shame. We go to our next match, which is Trey Miguel taking on his trainee, Sam Beal. Sami Callihan comes out and says, "Packed crowd tonight in the Impact Zone." Looking around to empty seats. They're all thinking what I'm thinking, that Trey Miguel is a quitter. The only good thing he's done is train his opponent, one of the best wrestlers on the planet, and has something that you lack, passion, and introduces Sam Beal. The match starts with Beal clubbing Trey in the back, kind of like carrying Cross's forearm to the back he's been doing recently. Trey hits a great-looking hook-leg suplex and then applies... I wasn't quite sure what this submission was. It looked kind of like a figure four arm breaker combo.
I had never seen. I didn't know what the hell that was. Like it, like he like locked in the figure. Like it so, dude, it was like a like he put in the sharpshooter or the figure. Like but it looked like a sharpshooter. Like he wrapped, like he set it up for the sharpshooter and then like pulled the dude's arm like real close to him and like yank. Like I never seen that before. Like I couldn't really tell by the camera angle, because you could tell by the camera angle like if something like appears to look like it hurts. You know what I'm saying? So, but it looked good from the way that they shot it. So I mean, I'm interested to see if that could be maybe Trey's his new finish or something that he was just using to put away this trainee who he knows can't really stay with him in the ring.
Yeah, it should be his one of his new finishes. I thought it looked really cool. I think what took me off is he applied it so quickly, so I couldn't kind of work out what limb was wrapped around what or what he was holding, but looked really good. Trey wins in 44 seconds via tap out. After the match, Trey goes after Sami, but Sami hacks the lights and the videos and disappears and reappears in the ring and delivers a package pile driver to poor Sam Beal. Then he hacks the system again and disappears.
I could have used one of those at university when I was in math class. You know how many times I could have got a shitty grade. Just click my phone and then I'm gone. Oh my goodness.
Package pile driver to the professor and then disappear.
Right.
I quite enjoyed this segment. It took up like very little time, but did exactly what it needed to do. Gave a really strong win to Trey. Showed off this new submission finisher. Sami getting under Trey's skin even more by attacking his trainee. And just a really succinct segment. I thought this was really good.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man.
We're backstage with Chris Sabin and James Storm, and they say, "Eric Young, we've known each other for 20 years, but what you've become disgusts me." Storm says, "How do you kill a snake? You take its head off. Well, Young is the head of the snake, and at sacrifice, we are coming to take the head off the snake." And we're not coming to say Motor City or sorry about your damn luck. We're here to kick your ass.
And that is official.
That's official. And then Jake something shows up and says he wants to be in the corner to neutralize in case Eric Young tries to get involved. I found it kind of weird because the way Sabin and Storm were talking about going for the head of the snake, which would be Eric Young, you would think they're challenging Eric Young to the match, but they're actually challenging Dina and Doring, and Eric Young's going to be at ringside, so Jake is going to be ringside as well. But I think this could actually be a pretty good match here.
Yeah, I'm thinking more so it's gonna be like a lot of outside antics going on to this. I don't really think it's gonna be like too much for the in-ring stuff. I feel like it'll be spotlighted, but for the most part, it's gonna be Eric Young getting involved, him going at it with Jake something on the outside, Sabin and Storm getting distracted by Eric Young, and both sides basically going at it with the individual who is cornering them. Like I can see Cody Deaner, kind of focusing in on Jake something on the outside a little bit. So I think this match is going to be featuring a lot of outside shenanigans.
John Cena in the Twitch room, he writes the Impact report for postwrestling.com, so do make sure you check that out and get Ceno's opinions. But he said that they said before going to the snake they have to go through his minions, so I kind of missed that bit. So that's why they're challenging Dina and Doring. My one worry, I can see Jake joining Violent by Design.
No, Davey, don't do that.
I know.
No, don't put it out there.
We only just got him back. But it wouldn't surprise me with the fact that he's there. I could see it happening, perhaps. Or maybe not liking... Like, they might be beating down on Dina and he doesn't like seeing that happen to his cousin or something. I could see them maybe doing something like that. I hope they don't, because I think Jake is in the right spot right now and he should be growing more as a solo act.
Jake, he beat Cody at No Surrender, right?
Yes, and then was it last week in the tables match or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah. We go to the Tonys, Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone, who have the paid advertisement for AEW Dynamite. They say that they had a great buy rate for Revolution, and they say how excited they are to be here. Tony Khan once again says, we had such a great buy rate. So showing off that their pay-per-view did pretty well. I imagine it might be their best one. I don't know if the numbers are out there or not, but I keep hearing it was very successful. So wouldn't be surprised if it's AEW's best show to date. They say that we learned so much at Revolution. We saw Sting in action. We saw Scorpio Sky grabbing the brass ring and getting a TNT title shot this Wednesday. Christian Cage is here in AEW, and we will hear from him at Dynamite tomorrow and say that he's one of Impact Wrestling's greatest champions ever. Big Money Matt lost the big money match, and that's going to be a lot of shame. Congrats to Hangman. Phoenix and Pac will challenge the Young Bucks at some date, and then tomorrow we're going to get Matt Jackson taking on Rey Fenix, which I think could be a really excellent match, actually. And we learned that Kenny Omega might be a great wrestler, but he is terrible at building exploding rings. So doubling down on that narrative that it was Kenny's poor design that caused that whimper of a finish at the pay-per-view on Sunday. They say Eddie Kingston might be a great friend. The ring might not be enough to harm either man, but it doesn't take away from what Kingston did trying to protect his former best friend. And
I'm about to say, David, that ending was so perfect, bro, up until that final explosion.
I know. It did. We haven't really talked about it yet. I did my post show, obviously, and a lot of people now have seen our reaction from the live Revolution watch along we had on the Twitch just the other day, where all of us were just in fits of laughter. But oh boy, what did you make of it? I saw a bit of your chat with Steph, and I know Steph was too wrapped up in the emotion of everything that she didn't realize that Gilbert's fireworks have gone off in this corner.
Orange Cassidy's pyro.
Yeah. What did you think? Did it ruin the match for you?
I wouldn't say it ruined the match, but I would say it really took a lot away from that final stretch that they had. Like I felt like Omega and Mox really did have a solid match, and it was good. It didn't drag. It wasn't one of those like very like I don't think it was supposed to be anything longer than what it was. Like I think that was a really good pace that they had.
Yeah.
But I feel like when Eddie came out to save Mox and shield him and all that, I was like, dude, this is about to be crazy. Cause like I'm thinking like did like this ring this ring about to implode or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. And then they had the little pew pew pew. Like I
Yeah.
was like, what the hell going on over here, man? Like I felt like they could have at least like loaded up some debris on the outside and like just shot it up real high in the air, like just enough to cover the fans' view of Mox and Kingston just for a period of time, like for 2 or 3 seconds, like just at least block people's view, like hit some fireworks big enough to block people's view out so it can at least seem like like the worst thing ever, and then maybe you could collapse the ring just to add on to that extra little effect to it, and all you need is an extra little loud bang, like, and it would have been perfect. But like
Yeah.
I think they just they just missed the mark, bro. That's all it was. Like they built this moment, like everybody was kind of waiting on this big last moment, and it didn't deliver, and it kind of took a lot of people out of it.
Yeah.
They did have a good match. I don't think that should take it away, but it's kind of hard not to factor in that finish when everybody was very much looking forward to the final result.
I think that's where where wrestling is so interesting, because for me, I know like a Meltzer or whoever will rate a match bell to bell, and like he won't rate a match if it's been edited or anything. For me, like, wrestling's predetermined. Like it's a story. So for me, a match starts from the entrances. Like the entrances to me make such a big deal of thing of the match, and if there is a post match for this, the whole thing was that ring's going to explode after 30 minutes, and so I agree. I thought the body of the match was great. I thought they had such a good match, and I think we'd be showing everyone, like all your non-wrestling friends, you'd be going, look at this, this is nuts, look, the ring explodes and everything, and look at the emotion. Unfortunately, it fucked up, and and it's interesting that Moxley, obviously in that post show talk, kind of blamed Kenny for it, and then Tony brought it up in the press conference later, and now this is the first time sort of officially on TV that they've addressed it as being Kenny's poor ring building. What do you think of the line? I know a lot of people I'm talking to are saying it's kind of shitty, just like writing it in, and kind of wish that they just like hold their hands up and be like, yeah, this is what happened, and move on. Personally, I think there isn't really a great answer. But the fact we did see Kenny building the ring, I think is a nice little out. It's still laughable, and it's still being told to us with a bit of a wink. But I'm more curious, because they didn't address this, and maybe they will tomorrow. Why was Eddie Kingston dead?
Bro, I like, so if Eddie wasn't selling it the way he was selling it, then maybe it wouldn't be as like critical, like people wouldn't be as critical of it as they are, because like, bro, he sold it like like his eyes was closed after the, like in the post match promo when the show went off the air, his eyes were still closed, like Aubrey Evans was like holding him up by his arms, like he was knocked out. I'm like, dude, like I felt like it would have been real cool, like if Eddie like I feel like they could have had a real nice out if like after the weak explosion happened. I feel like it would have been cool if Eddie would have just looked up and been like, what the hell was that? Like that was it. And then Omega came out, and like, did you idiots like really thought I was gonna like blow up the ring? Like are you foolish? Like what's wrong with you? Like, and then I feel like that would have been like a nice little out that they would have. I feel like people still would have been disappointed in the final result, but it would have been like a easier transition for people to feel like, oh, okay, that was just Omega messing around with Mox, and like, well, I mean, he wouldn't necessarily know Eddie was gonna come out and save him, but it could have been something just to mess with Mox's head. Like I feel like they'd have had a nicer out, opposed to like just like put immediately putting on the blame, the blame on the character of Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you've got to make a decision in a split second when something like that happens. And Eddie, with his head down, maybe didn't know how bad it was. But what makes me laugh is Cody will walk to the ring with his pregnant wife, with fire and explosions going off all around him. Man, and then these two, Pharaoh, like the amount of pyro on Cody's entrance, and then this is what those guys got. But
hey Davey, I wanted to ask you real quick. Did you feel they overhyped? Did you feel they did a disservice to Christian by overhype, like not overhyping, but hyping the signing up the way that they did? And you feel like they could have done better? Do you think it could have been way better? The reaction social media wise would have been way better if they just had never said nothing about somebody showing up and Christian had just showed up.
Yeah, I think you had enough buzz going into the pay-per-view anyway. And I feel I listened to Christian's interview with Renee Young earlier, and by the sounds of it, he thought it was going to be a surprise sign. Yeah. He hadn't actually signed when they announced on Wednesday that there was going to be this big signing. He hadn't actually put pen to paper. It was just like a verbal agreement. But by the sounds of the way he spoke, he kind of would have preferred it be a surprise. I think everyone would have gone crazy if Christian just came out as a surprise. Instead, people are getting their hopes up so much and talking about CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and you go, oh, it's Christian. Which is sad. Exactly. And as a wrestling fan, you feel bad for feeling like that because most people love Christian. He's great. Exactly. And he's coming back to wrestle after 7 years off. Like, it's a great thing and a great signing. And I'm really interested to see how he fits in. But 100% they overhyped.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think you just put it like exactly how I needed to be, bro.
Well, let's move on. I think we need to close the book on this exploding ring now. Who are we kidding? We're going to laugh about it tomorrow as well. We go to the Tag Champs contract signing.
The first ever cinematic style contract signing.
Oh, yeah. We're in Scott D'Amore's office. We've got the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, and Finn Juice, David Finlay and Juice Robinson sat down ready to sign the contract to make the Tag Team Championship match official for Sacrifice. Carl says he can't wait to put these guys in their place. The Good Brothers pour out some of their Talk and Shop bourbon whiskey, and Finlay says, well, hey guys, if you're drinking, we're drinking. So they all pour a shot of bourbon, and Scott is just trying to go all right, I know you're drinking, but whatever you do, please make sure you sign this contract. And they start taking shots. Carl is taking little digs, like learn how to work, little marks at Finn Juice. From Gallows' reaction to this whiskey, I am not sold that I want to buy this thing, because he was wincing away drinking this. They do a second shot and they say, let's teach these kids how to work. And then after Carl Anderson drinks his, he goes, oh, that's a Kurt Hennig. I don't get what this reference was. Do you?
I'm guessing he's saying that's perfect.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
They then say, this ain't...
Oh, no, wait. Kurt Hennig is Curtis Axel, right? And
no.
Joe Hennig is... Oh, that's the other way around. Joe Hennig is Curtis Axel and Kurt Hennig is... Okay.
That's right. Yeah, I guess he's just saying it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect, yeah.
They say, this ain't Irish whiskey, so double it up. So they all have this big shot of whiskey now. They all sign. Gallows and Anderson chug back the whiskey, but Finn Juice stand up, throw it in their face, and then, as you said, it becomes all cinematic. We've got this rock music playing as they're brawling away. What did you make of this contract signing?
It was exactly which is cinematic style contract signing. At first I wasn't really big on the Good Brothers Finn Juice feud. I just wasn't interested in it, but it didn't come off too too bad to me tonight. It was just like they're like we all like they make it apparently known that they're all friends, and it's just like it seems like a competitive thing now. Like they just try to one up each other verbally, and eventually one up each other in the ring. It just seems like a competitive thing now between four friends, and they just talking shit to each other the whole time.
I didn't like how it suddenly went cinematic for a contract. It seemed very odd, like just adding the rock music and stuff. It really wasn't needed. I think for me, if you're going to do something cinematic, I feel the whole segment kind of needs to be cinematic. If you just go into it, it feels almost like musical theatre where you're just bursting into song out of nowhere. It feels quite abrupt. And I like musical theatre. But I also thought the way they were going with this drinking, I was sure Finjuice were going to try and get them drunk and change something on the contract to say that it's now going to be an ODQ match or something like that. But this was fine for what it was. Can't say I'm overly excited about the match this weekend, but hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they're stalling. Now I don't want to say stalling. They're just like putting like little bumps in the road for the Good Brothers, because I'm calling this now. It's gonna be the Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing. I'm calling that right now.
That would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Wonder who their opponents will be for Rebellion. Rebellion comes first, and then Double or Nothing's the month after.
Yep.
Okay. We go to our next match of the evening, and it's an X Division match. Ace Austin, the number one contender, with Fulton in his corner, taking on Chris Bay. Austin actually grabs a steel chair and sets it up and tells Fulton to sit down. He's kind of saying he wants to do this on his own, and Austin makes it to the ring on 9. Fulton really doesn't look too happy about this, but he sits down and obeys his master, I guess. There's some really nice mat wrestling early on, with both trading some submissions. There's this Northern Lights suplex from Bay, followed by a tope con hilo to the outside. They start brawling on the outside, and Fulton just looked really funny here, sat down, but reacting to every move. Looked very odd. Austin flips back into the ring and hits this beautiful Fosbury flop to the outside. There's this awesome looking spinning springboard spin kick from Austin for a 2. And then just this great looking sequence where both are just like ducking everyone's kicks. We get a fake out from Bay with a kick turned into a code red for a 2, which looked awesome. You got a springboard, like a spinning springboard senton from Austin for a 2. Austin then pulls out the card and goes for the fold, but Bay moves out the way. Bay ducks the springboard kick, lands on his feet from a suplex, and back elbows Austin in the face. He's now ducking everything Austin's throwing his way. Bay flips again onto his feet, catches Austin with a kick. As Bay starts climbing up to the top rope, Austin catches him with this kick to the head and goes for a superplex, but it's blocked by Bay. Austin then sets up for like a double underhook suplex off the top rope, but Bay backdrops him off the top to the floor, and as Austin's landing, his back kind of bounces off the apron. Looked pretty nasty, and that took us to commercial break. We come back, and both guys are on their knees in the middle of the ring, just slugging it out with punches. We get a roundhouse in the corner from Austin, followed by the pinwheel leg drop for a 2. Austin then tries this like weird head scissors where he ran along the apron and jumps off to the turnbuckle, but gets shoved off by Bay, who follows up with this great looking crossbody. He goes for the art of finesse, but it gets scouted by Austin. Bay then hits the vertebreaker, which was a great near fall, Austin kicking out. Bay sets up the art of finesse again, but Austin bails to the outside. Bay goes after him, and Fulton now stands up out of his chair and is in the way of Bay. He then ducks as Austin jumps off his back to kick Bay in the face. And that's when TJP comes out with a steel chair of his own and sits down to watch. Fulton then gets up and chases off TJP. Austin in the ring goes for the fold, but gets hit with a cutter, and then Bay hits the art of finesse, and in 18 minutes 32 seconds Chris Bay wins.
Bro, this was a really good TV match.
This was a really good match.
This
Yeah,
was
I
really
thought so.
good. It's really good. They could have let that. Well, you know what? I'm a praise the Ace Austin Chris Bay match because I got some things I need to say about TJP, but I'm gonna say those for after I give Ace Austin and Chris Bay their dude. I think this is a really good TV match. These two work great together. I think Impact has a really solid like two front man duo as far as like the X division goes for the next year. However long these two are under contract with Impact, I think they can definitely rely on Chris Bay and Ace Austin to kind of float up and down between the like some like short world title feuds and definitely be the front people of the X division for sure.
Yeah, I think as soon as this AEW story is over, like when I assume Kenny's going to win the title, as soon as that title's dropped or whatever, I do think Austin should be in the main event mix for the World Championship because his matches are always so entertaining. He's such a good prick. Like, he's so hateable. He's a great promo. I think this guy's kind of got it all and would be a great like heel champion in the company. But this match was great. You don't normally get matches on Impact TV going much longer than 12 minutes. They gave these guys a lot of time. The whole thing was really entertaining. Could have done without the slight interference at the end, but even that wasn't over the top, and it achieved the result of furthering the feud between TJP and Austin. So I wasn't even too negative about that. But absolutely, if you're someone that just listens to the pods and doesn't really check out the show, I highly recommend this match. One of the best TV matches I've seen for a while.
Yeah, they definitely like I like Chris Bay and Ace Austin's dynamic and the way they work with each other. Like their styles are I don't want to say they're similar, but they kind of are similar in a way. But they just like really bounce off each other really well. You can tell by just watching them wrestle that they enjoy when they're in the ring together. They kind of just get each other in a good way. But man, Davey, you know, in professional wrestling, man, you have your select few people who it is impossible to separate the character from the individual off screen, and TJP has become one of those people, Davey. He has become one of those people. Wait, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, I was just
Okay.
taking a sip. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, TJP is one of those people. I need somebody in Impact to make the. Well, I don't know if the sacrifice show has been taped already. Hopefully, they did what needs to be done, and they need to put the title on Ace Austin and get this title on TJP. Get David Penza to take the title on TJP. D'Lo Brown, Matt Striker, anybody, please get this title on TJP. This dude, I don't know if you saw any of his tweets over the weekend.
Not this weekend. I've seen his tweets over other weekends, though. Yeah.
Promoting the burning of Mask, and among other things. And if anybody wants a glimpse of what TJP thinks about the world, you can easily go check out his social media. It's safe to say that dude is a 100%. Not use profanity. He's a fool. I'm gonna just say that. But yeah, it's very difficult sometimes, especially for me. Like I remember even last summer, when after George Floyd got killed, and I remember I seen a lot of not a lot of, but some professional wrestlers like really showed their true colors during that period, especially like I mentioned before with Chris Jericho when he was doing the whole All Lives Matter thing, like right after that happened, like that it makes it really difficult. Matter of fact, it's not even difficult. It's just like really easy to see who these individuals are behind the characters that they portray on television, and it really takes me out of a lot of everything that they do, and it's kind of hard for me to really get back into it. Like I used to think TJP, like even when he was in WWE and on 205 Live and stuff like that, I used to think he was one of the best out there. But like seeing him like now and like in his true form, like who he truly is as an individual, it's like really difficult for me to like get into like anything that he does or like even find it remotely entertaining. Like I'll have moments when I'm like, oh, that was a good match, but then I'll find myself like overly crediting the individual who was in the match with him just so I don't throw that back at TJP, like give him like any positive stuff like that. But like, yeah, man, it's very difficult at times to really you know, like try to find stuff interesting that certain wrestlers do when I know who they are as individuals off screen. And that's all I had to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely hear you, and I completely appreciate that. It's difficult, and these last like year, 18 months, especially covering pro wrestling, we've got to talk about these characters, unfortunately, and we don't have to agree with them, and it's our platform to say what we want, and you're absolutely entitled to that thought. I completely agree with you, and I think TJP comes off his character work. He comes off smug as well, which just makes you like you know who the real person is, and then when he's playing smug on TV as well, it makes him even more unlikable. But it is difficult because he is a fantastic wrestler, and he's had some great matches in Impact recently. So it does make I definitely have the same issue when we talk about other people in NXT when Braden and I do our show. It's just something we've kind of got to learn how to navigate it.
It's like you trying to find that line between keeping it some sort of like professional just from your point, and then also keeping it like just 100% with the audience, is like the people that are listening, as far as how you feel. You know what I'm saying? It's like that line right there. Like you're trying to you're not doing that, the professionalism side. You're not doing that for the person, the person that you're covering. You're kind of doing it for yourself, and then at the same time you want to keep it as authentic as possible with your audience, as far as like how you feel about say individual.
Absolutely. Well, we go to Swingers Palace, where we do see TJP, who comes in and says, well, who'd have thought the ultimate finesse would pull it off? And Bravo gives him his winnings, because it seems that TJP maybe bet on Chris Bay there. That's when Josh Alexander comes in and kind of questions why TJP has the X Division Championship on a poker table when he's got a match on Saturday, and doesn't feel he's been taking this too seriously. And TJP goes, yeah, against a guy who lost. Josh says that he's in this for the X Division Championship and he will be waiting. I don't know. I mean, we've just gone over TJP and the fact that neither of us are particularly a fan of him. But this did feel like he was leaning maybe slightly heel here with the line, yeah, against a guy who lost. Maybe he's not taking this all too seriously. But I personally would like to see Ace Austin win the championship and perhaps have Alexander and TJP in a number one contenders match. I'm definitely more excited to see more of Josh Alexander in this division than TJP right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, it's good to see Josh Alexander in the X Division title picture. I know he did an interview earlier today. Well, I don't know when it was recorded, but I'm assuming it was fairly recently. He talked about his transition into the X Division and being a singles competitor now that Ethan Page is in AEW, officially signed with AEW. So yeah, I think it's good for Alexander, man, because I think we all know how good of a wrestler he is. Like, I don't think that even needs to be discussed. I just think that he needs to find like that, maybe like just some sort of character arc for him, so people can get like really invested. Like, it's kind of like he's a tweener right now. Like he can really be either one, like a babyface or a heel. But like, I feel like he can be that guy who isn't really trying to be either, but he's likable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like, if I'm even phrasing that right.
No, I think it's a good transition rather than him randomly just being in some singles feuds. I think putting him in the X Division, we all know he was in this tag team, and the X Division is kind of, it's meant to be a bit different. Like, it normally caters to the cruiserweights, but I think the fact that it's this tag team specialist who now has gone back into singles, I think the X Division is right for him. And I think just we're going to see good matches. I think the X Division with him, Bay, Austin, and dare I say it, TJP, you're going to get good matches with combinations of those four. We go to our next match of the evening, ODB taking on Susan. ODB gets Susan in the corner and does some Big chops to the chest. Susan has the kind of, I want to speak to your manager gimmick. So she's still in her dress suit, and ODB kind of rips open the shirt to just chop away at the chest. We get a Bronco Buster to Susan, followed by a fall away slam, and then a chest press off the second rope for a 2 count from ODB. Susan then slams ODB by the hair and then grabs ODB's liquor flask and pulls out the alcohol, making ODB very mad. She picks up Susan, hits the Samoan drop, and pins her in 8 minutes 5 seconds.
I say that there ain't a chance ODB's beating Deonna.
Nope.
Not a chance. Hey, David, did you think we were going to get the Deonna appearance at Revolution to be Britt Baker's surprise partner? But was just let me clarify, was not disappointed in Maki Ito at all. Very glad to see her. But did you think that that was going to be like the first time we see the women's side of the Impact AEW relationship?
Honestly, I wasn't paying too much attention for the pre-show because I was setting up for the watch-along. I had the match on in the background, but didn't really give Rebel's replacement too much thought, so that didn't even cross my mind. But yeah, this match was fine. I think ODB is a good character, but I don't think she should be in a title picture, especially with some of the other women you've got on the division who I don't think are focused on quite as well. I really like Deonna, but I don't see... Maybe they'll surprise me, but I don't have too much high expectations for this match. After the match, Kimberly and Deonna run out to attack ODB. Jordan and Jazz then run out for the save. Then Fire and Flavor run out to attack Jordan and Jazz. And we get this cutter from Tasha Steelz and the Fisherman's Neck Breaker from Kiera Hogan to ODB. And all the heels pose in the ring. The way I kind of want it right now, I think you have Steelz and Hogan drop the titles to Jordan and Jazz at the pay-per-view. I'd have Deonna retain, and then maybe have Kiera and Steelz turn face and have Kiera challenge Deonna down the line. That's kind of what I want to see. Someone in the Twitch room earlier brought up that the women's division, now you've got the tag titles in there, it seems really thin. And it's a division that we've praised in the past, but now you've got these tag titles as well, taking up other people's time. I think it does seem very thin at the top, and you haven't really built up anyone to be a viable challenger for Deonna. Apart from Jordan Grace for the 5th time, you know?
Man, you want to know who would be like a really, really great addition to Impact's women's division, bro? Killer Kelly.
Yeah, she's been on Impact, but
yeah,
not signed. She was in the women's tag. Yeah, absolutely.
She would be like a really, really solid addition to the division. Like, now I do agree with who said that that the division does seem kind of thin with the Knockouts tag titles. Like, I definitely think they need to either make some additions to the roster, or they need to put the tag titles on a team who can draw in a lot of challengers that makes sense, like opposed to like I feel like you might be on the money with the Kiera and Tasha face turn. I feel like they can do just a little bit more and stretch it out a little bit if they were faces opposed to them being heels.
I mean, we don't have a crowd, but I feel if there was a crowd, they'd like Tasha and Kiera anyway. They've just got so much personality. Like, it's so easy to turn these two turn them babyface, and then you've got some fresh challengers. We've talked before about just the way Tenille Dashwood's been booked as well. I'd even say with Rosemary as well. Like, you've got women who are good there, but they pick and choose when they want to take them seriously. And I think maybe instead of bringing back an old face like ODB, let's bring more women into the division. Let's bring in some names we haven't heard of. Like, just take a chance on some young, independent women wrestlers and try to make new people.
Yeah, man. Bro, them losing Kylie Ray and Taya Valkyrie, that was like...
They took a hit there.
That's rough, bro.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. All right, so we then have a rundown of the matches that are coming up this Saturday. Maybe we'll talk about that at the end. So let's go to the real main event of the evening. This was edited quite weird. I don't know if you noticed this as well, but Scott D'Amore is in his office, and it seems like he's talking to someone. We kind of see the back of a chair. Yeah, and he says, "Signed, sealed, delivered." And then from his office, he hears Moose's music hit. And he kind of turns around and goes, like, what the hell? And we just cut to the ring where Moose is already stood in the ring talking. This was edited together really badly. Moose says that he is the real world champion. And therefore, he wants to hear this big news first. We cut back to Scott D'Amore, who's still talking to this other person in the office. We go back to the ring and Moose is pacing around, still waiting for the announcement, and goes, well, I guess we're not having a show. This dude is threatening to hijack the show 5 minutes before it goes off air. I'm like, dude, there's no more matches. Fine, stay in the ring. But then Scott D'Amore does come out. He says, sorry to keep you waiting. It's been a really hectic day. But before I say the news, I do want to bring out Rich Swan, our Impact World Heavyweight Champion. So both are in the ring now. Scott says, for almost a year, Moose, you've been walking around as TNA champion. You found that title and you've been carrying it around. A championship with a long lineage. And I made it official the other week. I've sanctioned the title. It's now official. But 2 world champions is one too many. And therefore, on Saturday, both titles will be on the line in a unification match. But that's not it. The winner of the match will face Kenny at Rebellion with both the AEW and the Unified Impact World title on the line. And then we cut to the back to Scott D'Amore's office where we see Don Callis on the phone and says, Kenny, we did it. As if all the pieces are coming together. Great end, I thought. Something that we've kind of been theorizing for a while. Apart from the wonky editing here, I thought this was done pretty well. Makes the title match on Saturday feel a lot bigger. I feel it's almost... Yeah, it's cool to be the champion, but it seems really the real prize is headlining against Kenny at the next big pay-per-view, don't you think?
It's all about the stakes, baby.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about the stakes, my man. But yeah, I think this was, like I said at the top, great way to end your show. A lot of news coming out of it, a lot of hype coming out of it. People are going to be talking about this for the next for the next month until the show actually, until the Rebellion match actually happens, whether it's going to be Moose or Swan. See, as far as who I want to win, I feel like Swan and Omega can have a really, really, really great match. But there's another part of me that really wants to see Moose versus Omega, bro. I don't know why. Like, a part of me, like, genuinely wants to see what they could do with, like, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, one-on-one. I feel like Omega could push Moose, like, to another level in the ring. Like,
I'm with you. I think it was that last pay-per-view that you, me, and Nate covered. I can't remember which one it was, but that was the one that kind of, I felt all three of us sort of opened our eyes to Moose a bit more and went, okay, actually, that interests me. And I think Swan, I'm with you, Swan versus Kenny will be a great match to watch. But I kind of feel there's a bit more, I find Moose a bit more interesting in the match. I think it feels like a bigger deal. He's been going around calling himself a wrestling god. It kind of adds to the idea of if we're ever going to get this Kenny Kota match. Kota's been going around calling himself God with a capital G. You can always have Kenny be like, well, I've already defeated one wrestling god. You're just another one. You know, I feel it's... And just visually looking at it, it's way more impressive Kenny beating Moose than Rich Swan.
Yeah, man. Like I feel bad saying that because Rich Swann has like really been like a great champion for Impact, and like he's like Rich Swann is a great wrestler. Like we all know this. Well, it don't need to be said, but like I don't know why, bro. I just feel like more intrigued with Omega Moose. I don't know why. Like it just feels like that should be the match of Rebellion.
Well, let's go through the Rebellion card and then maybe give a few predictions. We'll start with an easy one. Deonna Purrazzo defending the Knockouts Championship against ODB.
There you go, Deanna.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Deonna, as well. We've got Fire and Flavor, that's Tasha Steelz and Kira Hogan, taking on Jordan Grace and Jazz for the Impact Knockout Tag Team Championship.
I think Kira and Tasha retain.
I'm going to go with Jordan and Jazz for this one. And we can maybe go in a bit of a different direction. Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers in a no DQ match. Or a hold harmless, I think they're calling it.
Brian Myers.
It doesn't matter. This one. I'll go Eddie Edwards just to shake things up. We've got Dina and During from Violent by Design taking on Storm and Sabin.
Violent by Design.
Okay. I'll go with Storm and Sabin, and hopefully nothing dodgy goes on with Jake something there. Decay taking on Reno Scum.
Decay. I can't see Black Taurus taking. I mean I think he's already lost the match, but like I can't see him I feel like they want to keep him strong.
I'm with you, and I don't think I've ever seen Reno Scum win a match, so why would that happen on a pay-per-view? Yeah, I'm going to go with Decay there, and Black Taurus just having a bit of a showcase. I think Reno Scum are kind of bigger guys as well, which could be... Taurus has this great power, but speed as well, so I actually think it could be quite cool if he's throwing these guys around. We've got Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K taking on Havoc and Nevaeh.
Havoc and Nevaeh.
I agree, and probably Caleb takes the pin
He's taking
there.
the pin.
100%.
He ain't Reginald. He ain't Reginald, man.
TJP defending the X Division title against Ace Austin.
Ace Austin.
Yeah, title change,
Please.
I think so.
Please. But yeah, Ace Austin. Matter of fact, bro, I just think it's sad because all that, TJP and being a dumbass aside, I feel like Ace Austin, especially coming off that Super X Cup win. Remember how me and you and Nate talked about how he ran into Cardona after literally winning the Super X Cup.
Yeah,
I feel like they kind of lost their way with him a little bit, but I feel like this is the perfect thing to get him right back on track. He got Sting behind him, bro. Put the title on him.
He deserves it, and I think heel champions are always a bit easier to book. They're a bit more interesting. I thought Rohit was really good in this role. I think Austin will be a good champion. But I would like to see a few more faces being added to the X Division mix as well. We've got the Good Brothers defending the Impact Tag Team Championship against David Finlay and Juice Robinson.
Good Brothers.
Yeah, I think so. I can't see Finn Juice sticking around. And the Good Brothers need to defend them at some point or do a title for title against the Bucks. And then finally, Rich Swann versus Moose. We've said what we want to happen, but what do you think will happen?
Omega already pinned Swan, so I think that was just the beginning of it. I think he's going to pin Moose at Rebellion.
So Moose to win.
Yeah, Moose to win at Sacrifice, and we get Omega Moose at Rebellion.
I'm going to go with Swan. I feel there's just a bit more story going into that. We still got time to build up for either match, but I feel they've already sown enough seeds already for Rich Swann versus Kenny that I think they'll stay in that direction. Mm-hmm. Well, that was Impact. What were your thoughts? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle?
I'm going to say thumbs up. And I think it had a lot to do with that final that final segment. That was really good. That was a lot of... That was very strategic by Impact, and they did it right by putting that last, and that was a nice way to close the show. There was no after filler. Soon as the announcement was made, bro, they had a minute left, like let it go. Like I think that was really smart. That carried a lot of weight. That would be even carrying out of the show. That Chris Bay Ace Austin match, Chef's Kiss. And
Oh yeah.
I definitely thought they was gonna end up adding Chris Bay to the title match, but they didn't. Which I think is kind of a good thing. Like save that for another time. And I think we're gonna get Ace versus Chris Bay for a title match. Maybe every billion. Maybe.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good show actually. Yeah, I'm with you. The Bay Austin match was great. Like I can't give a thumbs down to a show that puts on a match like that. Love the news coming out at the end. I thought the Trey Miguel Sami Callihan thing was good. Tasha and Jazz wasn't bad. Yeah, I'd say it was a thumbs up show. It kind of got a lot of stories told and with good wrestling, and that's all I want. Good storytelling, good wrestling. That's all I want.
There you go. There we go, Dave.
Okay, well that is it for tonight. Andrew, thank you. Have you got any final plugs you'd like to give before we say goodnight?
Just follow me on Twitter at @ADThompson__. Check out my real work at Post Wrestling and check out the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And once again, a packed week here at Up Next. Already in your feed is our Batman and Robin review. People are saying it's maybe the best, worst movie of all time. It's one of the most quotable films ever, with Arnie being in there. Braden and I had a lot of fun recording this one, and we think you'll really enjoy that. So go ahead and give that a listen as Braden and I work our way through the Batman films. Next, it's Batman Begins. We're getting into those Nolan films. Very excited. Have you ever seen Batman and Robin, Andrew?
I have not.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Go and watch it. It's ridiculous. It's so bad.
David, this is a quick random story before we go off the air.
Go for it.
On Dark Side of the Ring, they have the confidential show that they have before it's the season 3. They released a clip. So Jimmy Snuka was married to Gino Hernandez's mother for a decade.
Okay.
Right, that's what. Bro, I literally said the same thing when I read it. I was like, "Wow!" Like, okay, that's some information right there. That's something. That's something. But what a way to end the show, Dave.
Well, thank you for that. Also coming up, obviously, up next tomorrow, we're talking about that big episode of NXT with the 2 title matches. BD Elite this Thursday at 1 p.m. on Twitch, where we'll be seeing all the fallout from that exploding ring. Then this weekend, we've got a couple more shows on the Patreon. We've got an Up Yours, where we've got Jake from the Windy City joining us to talk all about the Super J Cup from 1994, one of the best one-day tournaments ever in pro wrestling. And then Sunday, we'll be joined by the chosen one, Charbel, to talk all about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's all coming up on the Up Next Patreon, patreon.com/upnext. Make sure you subscribe to our Twitch channel. We do a load of our shows live on Twitch, twitch.tv/upnextpodcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at upnextpodcast. Follow the Up Next group on Facebook. Follow me at Davey Portman. But my voice is dying now and I've got to go. So good night, take care, be safe, ahoy!
This is the captain. Brace for impact.